entitled Living What You Believe. And our lesson topic tonight is 3 characteristics of a strong Christian life. We're just going to start out with the scriptures in James, the 4th chapter. Would you all stand and turn to James, the 4th chapter. We're just going to read 3 verses there. Amen. And it says this: From whence come wars and fightings among you? Come they not hence, even of your lust at war in your members? Ye lust and have not, ye kill and desire to have, and cannot obtain. Ye fight and war, yet ye have not, because ye ask not. Ye ask and receive not, because ye ask amiss, that ye may consume it upon your lusts. You may be seated and remember what the lesson topic is, and that is 3 characteristics of a strong Christian life. We're going to finish this series of lessons today on the book of James. There are so many things that are practical, and they are so important in our Christian life. We have talked about trials and temptations in this series. We have talked about the sin of discrimination, favoritism. We have talked about controlling our speech. But tonight, we're going to talk about the 3 characteristics of a strong Christian life. 1, humility. 2, patience. And 3, prayer.
Amen.
If you think about all the scriptures that we have been talking about, all these principles has to do with relationship.
Yes, come on.
We know principles are truth. They can work inside or outside of a church. Principles are truism, which means the truth. They can be applied in any culture, at any stage of life, and in any situations. Let's start with the first characteristic, which is from verse 1. From whence cometh wars and fightings among you? Humility. Humility means meekness. It is the one virtue that once you think you have it, you've lost it. And so you cannot say, oh, I love my humility. Because you know what humility is? Humility means that you are humble. But we can't say I'm so humble because it doesn't work that way. Just watch those people that brag about their humility. James addresses it this way. This is the way James addresses it. What really causes quarrels and fights among people? Have you ever thought about that? What causes the quarrels and what causes the fights among people? Disagreements, that's one. Misunderstandings, definitely one. Just plain old what? Communication. Communication. Plain old communication. And so they result, but then we need to know they result from what kind of things? They result from evil desires battling within us. What does the scripture say? Ye love.
War in your members.
Yes, war in the members. And we lust and we have not because we want more possessions. We want more money, higher status, and more recognition. All of these takes place when we want it badly enough to fulfill our desires. So what do? When we're trying to fulfill our desires, we fight in order to do this instead of doing what? Aggressively grabbing what we want instead of submitting ourselves to God. Asking God to help us to get rid of our selfish desires and trust Him to give us what we really need. You see, it is the whole army of evil desires at war within you. That is why we talk about warring within ourselves. Because you want what you don't have. So what you do, you scheme and you kill to get it. Y'all understand what I'm saying tonight? The last part of that second verse says you kill and desire. It's okay to desire some things. But be careful. Because sometimes you kill to get it because you're jealous for what others have and you can't possess it. So what do? You fight and you quarrel to take it away from them. And the reason you don't have what you want, just look at verse 3. You ask and receive not because you ask what? Amiss, that you may consume it upon your lust. You don't ask God for it. And when the word says amiss, that means it's improper. And even when you do ask, you don't get it because your whole motive is completely wrong. Have you ever thought about that? You want only what will give you pleasure instead of serving God. Such as things that we desire. But the things that we should be desiring is not pleasure. It should be the things that we desire of God. So what is the reason for so many that's quarreling and fighting then? There must have been some dissension within some of the groups as there is even today. There are cliques, but we're in a small group, so we don't have cliques, do we? And why do we have cliques? Because somebody wants to have their way, and someone else wants to have their way. And pretty soon it isn't long until it's what? Conflict, fighting. This is very important that we understand that tonight, because that will help us in our own personal lives of the fighting and the wanting and got to have it. Just got to have it. Sometimes we do that. But we have to think about tonight what it will bring us. You know, everyone feels like God told them this is the way to go. This is the way to do it. But things begin to get more complicated when we begin to think, well, maybe God didn't tell anybody anything. It's just so much stuff goes on in the mind that causes so much conflict, that causes so much quarreling and so much fighting. But, you know, God didn't fix it that way.
No.
But it's the way we think, and we allow this to go on in our lives. And so God is trying to show us here how we can get rid of that. A lot of it is just plain selfishness. Just plain selfishness. You know, we just have to call it the way it is. And sometimes it's very offensive because we say, well, I'm not selfish. Well, all we have to do is look at our life and see how we react and how we want things our way and not the way that they should go. That's selfishness. It's very simple. But we have a lot of selfish people in the world, a lot of selfish people in the church. But we must do what the Word of God says, and that is we must be humble. Humility. That is what will help us to keep us from being selfish. And James points out that the problem here is selfish desires. He's saying you're not thinking about the body. You're not thinking about the good of the whole. In other words, everybody. You're thinking about your own selfish desires. People just want to have their way, and they don't care who it hurts. They want to have their way. And that is why there's fighting, and that's why there is contending with each other. Now, isn't that usually the principle with any disagreement? I heard someone say that tonight. Isn't that usually the principle with any disagreement? We always want our way. It's got to be my way or nothing. And we fight on our jobs, we fight in the church, we fight everywhere, don't we? And that's the reason we fight, because of our selfish desires. And I know we say, I'm not selfish, but I'm letting you know the things that James here is trying to get us to see. That's humility. Be humble. You get rid of all of that selfishness. You get rid of all that fighting. You get rid of all that quarreling. The next characteristic is patience. Lord knows we need patience. Someone read James, the 5th chapter, and verses 7 through 11. And we're going to see about this patience. Whoever has it, just begin to read it, please.
Be patient, therefore, brethren, unto the coming of the Lord. Behold, the husbandman waited for the precious fruit of the earth, and hath long patience for it, until he receive the early and latter rain. Be ye also patient, establish your hearts, for the coming of the Lord draweth nigh. Grudge not one against another, brethren, lest ye be condemned. Behold, the judge standeth before the door. Take, my brethren, the prophets who have spoken in the name of the Lord, for an example of suffering, affliction, and of patience. Behold, we count them happy which endure. Ye have heard of the patience of Job, and have seen the end of the Lord, that the Lord is very pitiful and of tender mercy.
These verses are talking about being patient. Do you know God blesses the people who patiently endure?
Yes.
He blesses them. And so, brothers and sisters, you must be patient as you wait upon the Lord. Consider the farmer who eagerly looks for the rains in the fall. And he looks for it in the spring. And you know what? They patiently wait for the precious harvest to ripen. So you see, you have to be patient to wait on everything. Even the farmers have to wait on the rain. So if we are patient, and there's a lot of things that we're desiring, if only we be patient and wait on the Lord and look to the Lord, God will bless. But we have to endure sometimes. But if we endure to the end, God will truly bless. You know, we must be patient and we must take courage. Because we do know that when Jesus comes,